Hello, welcome back to Average Gamer Plays Factorio. Now, I'm in a copy of my main world at the moment, and the reason I'm in a copy is that I'm going to be doing some tests and experiments to see if there are any more efficient ways that I can mine the ore faster. I'm getting to the stage of the game where I'm going to need ore and therefore plates and everything else in considerable quantities. And at the moment, the speed at which I can mine those ores off an ore patch is kind of limited by the layout of the miners that I'm using. So I'm going to see if I can work out a different layout. I'm going to be using a couple of mods and a couple of little tricks to sort of get around this. I can't do this in my sandpit world with the way that I've set it all up because I've cleared the background and I'll have to start putting down some more patches again, and it's not working the way I wanted it to work. So I'm going to be doing this just in a copy of my main world just while I work this out. So what I'm going to do, what I've worked out, there is a formula for working out how many miners you need to fill a belt. And with mining productivity 24, I'll link this formula in the description, but I found it on Reddit and it's in the Factorio cheat sheet as well, I think. With mining productivity 24, which is what we've got at the moment, for a 45 item belt, which is a blue belt, and 3 speed modules per miner, we only need 10.6 miners to fill a belt. So that's going to be 5 on each side. If we've got, for example, 1. Now a mining drill actually covers a 5x5 area, and you can see this by sort of the area that's sort of highlighted around the mining drill. So these two at the moment are going to overlap the same area. So if I put this one back here, and then I'll use one of my editor extensions tricks over here to provide a power source. And if we use a substation in there, that will cover sort of lots of mining drills, so we don't need to do an awful lot with power. And then if I run my blue belts along out here, and I put my speed modules in, and then I use one of these little things to just sort of swallow all that up, you will see once it sorts itself out that what comes off here is pretty much, there's still a couple of tiny little gaps on it because I've only got 10 miners on here instead of 12. But the point is, when I get to mining productivity 26, I'll only need 10 miners, and that isn't going to be too far away, I don't think. And I don't think it's worth my while kind of putting more miners down on the patch just for the sake of filling out these 2 tiny little gaps or whatever that are coming out in the belts. So if that layout works for 1 belt, I could get another belt coming along here, and then this miner still covers the area covered by that belt, so that's still going to get mined out anyway. So then I'll have another 10 miners over there. And what if I do another set of miners up here? Do something like this kind of layout. I'm now going to get 4 full blue belts, pretty much, give or take a tiny little bit. Right, that one's not going to be a full belt because it's not covered by, there aren't any miners up this top section here. However, if I cover the whole patch, so these are all like a symmetrical sort of same way up kind of setup, and I could just as easily have these miners on, you know, this side sort of feeding out to the opposite side. But the point is, the way that I was doing it before, I would only have so here I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 rows of belts coming off this patch. I think the way I was doing it before, I might still have kind of 8 rows coming off, but they would be a lot more congested. I think this is the point I'm getting at, that I'll be able to mine this patch and clear it out a lot quicker using something like this, because this is still going to cover every single item of ore, and these have got, you know, says there expected resources 1.9 million, and none of this is backed up. Everything here, all these miners are working at full speed, whereas on other see, a lot of these miners down here are paused because the belt is full, so these aren't actually doing anything at all. And if I were to put speed modules on here, then, you know, these miners would just be all that was needed to fill the belt, and all these miners would be sitting here redundant. So I think this new layout is a way of making sure that I can mine an ore patch more quickly and more efficiently. And I'm not bothered about the amount of power or the fact that I'm doing it using so many fewer miners. It's the fact that all the miners that are there are actually all working and nothing's getting backed up, and it means that if I cover this with even more, you know, miners to try and cover the whole patch, it means I can get more trains on this. It won't take, I can maybe get this patch to feed at least 2 stations, maybe even 4. You know, and there's not going to be anything wrong with the idea of having some lines coming out left to right and some lines coming out to the north and whatever. I mean, I can still do a couple of other miners on here to mine these extra patches, and I might find that they'll fill up, or they won't mine quite so quickly because the lines will be full. But at least they will mine the ore. And then they'll eventually sort of mine out. I mean, there's 55,000 under there. It won't take that long to clear that all out. So I could still do a few extra miners at the end, given that, you know, that's only 300 and something. So that'll be mined out in 5 minutes flat, that one. So I think this idea will actually work very well, and I'll be able to use it to get the ore off the patches a lot quicker. Right, I'm back. I thought I'd see if I could give any of you arachnophobes out there a bit of a surprise with a close-up of my Spidertron. I've been playing around, done quite a bit offline. I've set out, let's just get out of the Spidertron for a moment. I've laid out my new drill layout on this iron ore patch over here, and I've managed to get 4 stations around it. I've got 4 lines feeding this first station, 4 lines going through. I think they actually end up going through and feeding this back station here. 3 lines, which isn't even 3 lines because some of these don't have that many mining drills on them. But I've got a few lines feeding this station in the middle, and then these 2 lines at the bottom and these 2 lines vertically at the side feeding this station over here. So I've managed to squeeze 4 pickup stations around this ore patch, and all the other ore patches around here are a pretty similar size physically. So I should be able to squeeze kind of 4 stations around each of these as well. I might sort of lay the stations out slightly differently and work out the best way of setting out all the trains, but we have a random late bot coming in there. Is there no room for it? Go on then. Now, I've also built a smelting array for it. And what I've done is, I mean, it's pretty much the same as the other smelting arrays that I've put together. It's a combination of the other copper and iron smelting arrays in terms of the input and output stations and the trains, and then the steel smelting, which I've already got in the main base. Which I've already got in the main base over here, which takes a line of iron in and splits it into 2 and then merges the 2 outputs back onto one belt. So basically it's like double the amount of smelters for the same amount of output, which means that a single smelting array is quite large, but it still fits in roughly the size. If you have a look at the mini-map, well, I'll show you on the map, it still fits in within the sort of input and output stations, so I'll still be able to tile these just as I did before. Now, the thing is that I've only just realised, because I did some calculations on this, if I run my max rate calculator over all of this, okay. Yeah, this I did this in the in a sandpit world where, in fact, let me just load up the sandpit world so I'll show you. Right, so this is the same layout. I just did this as a test to see if it would still work on its side. We run the max rate calculator over this. It tells us that this whole array outputs 4060 steel per minute. That one down to the bottom. It says here for all these remaining sciences we need a total of 43,300 steel plate per minute. This array produces 4060, so I'm going to need Well, 10 will be 40,600, 11 will be 44,000, so I might have to build 12 of these to make sure that I've got enough space or enough capacity. Now, what I need to work out now is how many of these can I fit along a line. This array is very slightly bigger than the arrays that I've been putting in here. The actual array itself, I think, is the same height, but I needed a bit of extra space to get the trains in and out to merge the lines. So these two stations, the input and the output stations here, are about 3 tiles further apart than the input and output stations over here, so I can't put any more steel smelting down along here because these lines along the bottom here won't line up. Which is, you know, not the end of the world really, but I'm just thinking, how many of these can I squeeze in, and am I going to need more smelters kind of going along the edge here or something, or can I just have them? See, they've got 108 million there, 140 million, so I can tap into these patches as well down here. So there's plenty of iron. So instead of having the smelters, I'm going to need to sort of blueprint this and paste it down and see, can I do this all? Don't think I can because I've not radared it up yet. Right, that's got everything covered in radars. So let's make a rough blueprint. I think I'm just going to have to put down the blueprints and then just keep walking down. Let's just try zooming out instead of doing it on the map. I'll probably be able to do something different with this input line here. So that's basically, that's 5. I need another 7 on top of that, so I might be able to squeeze a couple in along like that. I mean, I don't know if I need all this level of stackers for the trains, but if I can do something something different with the trains coming in and out, I wonder if I can get more. See these. Right, let's have a little think about this, because these don't need to be they don't need all the stackers for their own trains coming in and out. Right, let's have a little think. If I just copy something like that. Shall I do this in my sandpit world? I think I might. Let's just sort of see how much space this will take up. Let's take up all of these temporary blueprints I've just put down. Right, so that is a line coming in and a line going out. And let's just say I'm going to have all these as straight lines for now. And I'll work out the actual stackers and the ins and outs later on. Because I'm thinking I might have this as one massive array and a big sort of 16 train stacker or something coming in and serving all the stations. So I might have it as being something like something like that. So there's one line coming across, and then all these other stations sort of come off it. So even if there's a train waiting here, other trains can come forwards and backwards. So can I then have what if I have these stations being shall I do something similar on the other side with the stations? Even if I have this sort of duplicated like that, I don't think is that going to cause a problem though. Shall I just leave it? Am I going to get traffic jams with the trains if I do that? If there's a station, I'm also thinking of having all these as LTN trains, so it's only going to send a train as and when it needs it. So if it sends more than one train, so this is like the, I need to tweak these I can change the I think I changed these a little bit. I'll make a new blueprint of everything once I've finished it, but I'm just getting a rough idea of the actual space it needs and the layout. So if I have, so what did I say I needed? 12 of these. So if I have 4, eight, 12. So we've got these trains bringing ore in. See, I think even if I were to set this up, I don't think the lines sort of match up at the moment, so it wouldn't stop the whole lot running. I'd have to power it, but just try and get past the flashing lights at the moment. So this would be my 12 steel arrays for smelting. Iron ore coming in and steel plate coming out. I'd have to make sure that each station each station has a limit of 1 train, And if each station has a limit of one train, I could still do some stackers at the beginning of each line. So there's 3 stations, there's 6 stations on this line, 6 on that, 6 on that, and then 3 on each of the top and bottom ones. Maybe 6. I mean, I could extend these to just be as many as I decided, really, couldn't I? So I could have like do I still have a so that'll be long enough for all those trains. Let's just do another destruction planner for trains and wagons. Right, so that's got that. So that can be sort of 6 there. I could get those even sort of like that close there, couldn't I? That sort of looks like that. Now, will that work? If I've got all these trains stacking up here, will they be able to... I don't think I can get the train to stop there, even if it's trying to go to this station, if there's other signals in the way. And they're going to have to be other signals in the way because the lines come out and then re-emerge, don't they? I'm not sure this is going to work well with the trains. I do sort of like the idea and the layout of this though, but I might just have to do it as take all those out. So that would be the train comes in there and it's just going to go to this one station, and then these trains come in here and some of them are going to go down to this station to be pickups and some of them are going to go to this station to be drop-offs. And then I'll have you know, a signal there, and basically it's just going to have to be 3 chain signals there, I think. So I think I'll have to give this a little bit more thought, really, because I want to make sure that it's right, really. Now the thing is, if I have I can't just sort of take this with the rails and sort of duplicate it over here, because I need to have some way of getting the trains in and out of the stackers. Anyway, the point is that if I can get all these trains to come along one line, so maybe I can And then all these trains coming out will go. Yeah, that is still a little bit off from that one. But the point is that that this kind of layout could be tiled, and I can have another set sort of over there next to it. Then another set over here next to it. I was just wondering whether having this output line and then this input line so close together is going to be a good idea. So I might have sort of a second rail coming down, or a third rail as well, sort of coming down, and then one going into here, one going into there, one going into there. It's just so that there's not so many traffic jams. It'd be something like that. So 3 lines coming in, so that each line here only serves trains serving sort of 4 of these stations, 4 of these plants, and then the lines coming out would all just sort of go up the top, and then they'd be, I mean, they might all just sort of merge onto the same line because there'll be more trains coming in than coming out. I don't know. So that would be trains coming in at the bottom, either delivering ore or empty trains waiting to pick up the plates. They would run along and queue up in the stackers, and they'd come out. I might even have, like I've got the 3 lines coming in there, split, rotate, rotate, and then just have effectively sort of 3 lines coming out there. Something like that. That was just my original blueprint, which I'll stick over there. So it could well be, I mean, this is quite a massive sort of installation, but I'd have 3 lines coming in and 3 lines going out, each one serving a row of 4 smelting plants. Now I don't think that will cause too many traffic jams, because the trains are going to come out and then sort of along the line fairly quickly. If anything's going to get stuck here, it's only going to be for a couple of seconds really, until another train comes past. Now then, the question is, how much space does this actually take up, and how will I fit it into my real base? Let me just take off some of those. Now then, does it say, right, snap to grid, 728 by 468. Let me just make a note of that. Oop. Right, let's work on my test game. That was when I did my design. Right, let me zoom all the way out again. It's not actually as big as I thought it was going to be. I mean, that could sort of fit in along there, along the edge of where I've got the base currently. So let's just zoom in a little bit, and then if I wander down, because that could actually go in along there and fit in around. Let me just sort of place that down. Let's see if that will actually place down. It does. So even then, that isn't really sort of too massive, because I can still mine all of these other iron patches out here. I mean, that's the one I'd actually started building on in the real game, and then I was going to mine these other three as well. 1, 2, 3. And there's nothing wrong with sort of doing a few others out here. I've not even explored this area yet, but there's going to be plenty of iron around here to sort of feed in to these smelters. And if I have these smelters over there in that kind of layout, it's not going to be too much of an effort to sort of bring them the iron back in to the main station. Now what I might end up doing is having a separate LTN network just feeding this lot, because I don't want to have, if I've got so many stations on a mine, I'd rather just get it to sort of be picked up when it's ready, rather than have lots of trains kind of just waiting there all the time. So I might have this as a separate LTN network, and maybe have a separate station in here, so that the trains here just sort of take the steel out and dump them into I may have like a storage area here or something, dump them into storage chests over here, and then the other trains come along and just pick them up from there. So this lot is like continuously smelting, and the trains are just taking the stuff here, and I just have rows and rows and rows of storage chests, and maybe bots kind of loading and unloading the trains. I don't know. Because I want to make sure that I really don't run out of steel. So if I can have these all working and delivering, mind you, I mean when there's the main base is up and running and it's launching the rockets, it should need the steel on a steady supply anyway. So I'm just wary of having a request for steel kind of from over here, and it takes the train sort of 2 or 3 minutes to sort of, well, a minute or so to get over here and fill up and then bring the train back. So I think I might end up having some kind of steel depot in the middle, where the trains here are sort of delivering to this depot and the trains up here are just picking up from it, so each train doesn't have too far to travel. Because everything else I might end up having like 2 green circuit bases or 2 blue circuit bases or something. Although this, I haven't actually worked out how many green circuits. The blue circuits I've worked out based on what I think the whole factory needs, so I shouldn't need another blue circuit base. But we've got sort of chemical science. I need to have utility science and production science in it, yellow and purple. And then, so we might end up having sort of satellites and everything and rocket fuel made there, and then the actual rockets being launched here and the labs sort of over this area. I don't think the base is going to get that much bigger than this. I may be wrong, maybe completely wrong. But I do like the idea that this smelting array can sort of fit in that area. I mean, and it only covers up a bit of copper, an oil patch and a little bit of coal, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. And if I have an LTN depot down here just feeding, or I might just have the depot over this side because that's going to be central to all these other stations. So I might have an LTN depot out over here feeding the mines, and then a depot here bringing the steel in. So I might end up having effectively kind of 3 LTN networks, one for the mines bringing the ores in, and one for steel bringing the steel into the base, and the third one for the main base carrying everything else around. So I can make sure that trains stay within their own network. That could work. That could work. I like that. Okay. I'll have a go with sort of putting something together along those lines. I might not use this exact blueprint, or I might carry on tweaking it and just have it set up for like one row or something. And but this is going to be my my basic sort of plan of action. So yeah, if I have, probably won't have this number of trains or everything on it, but yeah, I can have another depot sort of along there somewhere, and then I'll have coal. There's coal there, so I can mine that coal for fuel for these trains, because they don't need to go on anything faster than coal, I don't think. I might, if I'm feeling adventurous, if there's another oil patch around here that's easy to get to. Well, there is an crude oil over there. I could maybe build a rocket fuel factory here just off that oil, or a rocket fuel factory off this coal liquefaction, and then run these trains off rocket fuel instead of nuclear fuel. That could work. Right, for the sake of argument, let's just wander around a little bit more on here. I mean, this is only on my temporary map, but I just wanted to see what... there isn't any more iron out this direction. There's a fair bit of stone. I might have explored this already on the main world, but certainly $112 million. Yeah, oil over there. So there's plenty of iron out here that I can mine. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 patches there that I can tap to get just for just to turn the iron into steel. And then there's even more out there. So the more you wander, yes, I will find more eventually, but there's plenty around here to be tapping into for the time being, considering I've got like mining productivity 25 at the moment, or maybe even working on 26 or 27. So yeah, that could actually work. I will get on with building that and we'll see how we get on. But for now, I think I will say see you next time.